So if you can get someone to buy into to a tribe, and then you have the tribe do something, it will very strongly influence their own behavior. So humans will do almost anything to be part of a tribe if they feel that if the group has a priority and they're not following it. Hi, Guthrie here. I'm talking about behavioral economics, and today's topic is short and sweet and wonderful, and it's about how to create behavior change. I think that's probably the number one reason that people are interested in behavioral economics and behavioral science is people are doing behavior X and we want them to do behavior Y. How do we do that? And what's really, really interesting is there's only one way. I have a wonderful study here by Nolan, Schulz, Cialdini, and Goldstein, and Griskevicius that basically wants to answer two questions. And basically those questions are, what works for behavior change, and what do people think works for behavior change, and do those two line up? So, getting someone to change, having a person change their own behavior is one of the hardest things that they can do. And I know Susan often says that the only way to get long-term behavior change is to really change someone's self-story about how they feel. And I encourage you all to go read the How to Get People to Do Stuff book that she has, where she talks about the 7 drivers of motivation. A lot of companies, think about eating healthier or using less electricity or using less water. And there's lots of different strategies that they can use to get kind of group behavior change. And most of them have to do with rewards. A lot of companies jump straight to rewards because they think they work, and they don't work. They work a little bit in the beginning, and they're cheap and they're easy to set up. But in the long term, if you want long-term behavior change, rewards are definitely not the way to go. Anyways, so what they did, and this is a great study, it was really well funded, is they wanted to try and get, the paper is called Normative Social Influence is Under-Detected. So that's kind of a boring title, but here we go. Straightforward title though, which I appreciate. So they basically wanted to get people to use less electricity, right? Be environmentally friendly, right? You tone down your electricity use. And so they created 5 experimental messages. The first one was an environmental protection message. The second was social responsibility. The third was self-interest. Fourth was social norms, and the fifth was just information-only control. So they didn't ask to do anything. They didn't give any message. They just gave pure information. And so each of the different messages had a way of trying to convince people to save electricity. And so the researchers had people go door to door and give door hangers with information. They did interviews. They had people go do electrical meter readings. It was very together and well funded. And then what they did is, with that information, they compiled long-term electrical consumption data over the short term and the long term. And what was really, really interesting, again, the 5 conditions were environmental protection, right? Like save the environment, social responsibility, you do the right thing, self-interest, if you use electricity, you'll save more money, social norms, all your neighbors are doing it, you should do it too. And then information. Here's just information on various stuff. So that was the control. So what was really interesting is that participants believed that the behavior of their neighbors, which was the social norm condition, had the least impact of their own energy conservation. So they thought, I don't care what my neighbors are doing. What they do does not influence me. I'm influenced by this other stuff. But the results showed that the social norm actually had the strongest effect on the participants' energy conservation behaviors, both in the short term and in the long term, which was really, really awesome. And so almost none of the other stuff worked. If you said you should save the planet by CO2s, that didn't work. If you said you can save money, that didn't work. Maybe it worked a little bit in the short term, but telling people that, hey, your neighbors are using 14 kilowatt hours and you're using 16 kilowatt hours, you're using more than your neighbors, that totally worked, and it had a long and lasting impact. So I love this study because it doesn't get into the why, it just provides the what. The best and perhaps only way to change behavior when your only tool is information, right? Like, it'd be one thing if, like, you could use, there are other ways to change behavior, right? So, like, if you, like, electrical cattle prod people, but if your only way to change behavior is information, which is very common, either in a marketing message, or let's say you're trying to change someone's opinion on gay marriage or abortion or any of these kind of, tough issues. And those might be really tough, but maybe something even smaller, like weed legalization, where people may not have a really hardline stance. If you want to change their mind about something, you have to give them information about how bad of a job they're doing in relationship to other people. So your views are X, everyone else's views are Y, or you're consuming Z and everyone else is consuming W. And people really, really, really underestimate the power of social norms and behaviors and how strongly and desperately people they want to fit in. And so they rated the social norms as not having an influence on them, and it had a huge influence on them and the people in the study. So people just want to be cool, they want to fit in, and oftentimes social pressure is so much more of a motivator than anything else. So if you're designing something and you need to change someone's behavior, the best way to go about it is to use social pressure. Turn whatever you're doing into a group, a club, right? You want to create a tribe. And when you create a tribe, you change the self-story that I am part of this tribe, right? So if I live in the community and all of my neighbors are using less electricity, I am part of the community tribe. The tribe is using less energy. I don't want to stick out. I am part of the person who uses less energy. So if you can get someone to buy into to a tribe, and then you have the tribe do something, it will very strongly influence their own behavior. So humans will do almost anything to be part of a tribe if they feel that if the group has a priority and they're not following it. So give it a try. It definitely will work if you set it up correctly, and let me know what you think, and read the blog post in full. I'll talk to you later. Bye.